Welcome to Facet Networks. My name is Foster. It's great to have you here with us today. At Facet Networks, we make network security and cybersecurity simple and easy for you and your organization. Today, we're going to be looking at social engineering. Social engineering. If you like our videos and what we're doing, please like and subscribe. So what is social engineering? You know, social engineering, I will preface it by saying that it's comprised or composed of different flavors of malicious attacks, and we will look into some of those as we go along today. So join me as we go through the slides quickly to bring an awareness to you and your organization of what social engineering is. What is social engineering? Right? Social engineering, no, as I put this little text there in bullet number 1, it's not a bunch of people socializing or engineers socializing. Social engineering is really by far the most difficult to detect and or prevent in terms of cybersecurity. And you might ask why. The reason is because it's really looking at the human aspect. It's tricking someone to provide you with sensitive information. Okay, so it looks at the human element and uses that to trick you to provide information that should be kept secret, or at the very least should not be given to outsiders. Okay, so for example, you might have your Wi-Fi password. You can share it amongst your family and your friends who come there, but you don't go to your neighbor and say, here's my password, right? Or you don't broadcast that out as an individual. That is, in the same manner as a business, you share information amongst your employees, but you don't bring that information out. Okay, but social engineering is trying to trick you to provide information that should be kept secret to get that, right? So really, we want to guard against those, but as I said, it's one of the most difficult things to detect or prevent. Why? Because it tackles the human aspect, as we will see in the next slide. So social engineering looks at a few characteristics of people, right? People, we typically don't change over a day, over a night, over a week or a month, or even years and decades, right? And so because of that knowledge, the bad actors want to use this against you and I. They figure, most people will not change their password when they're supposed to. They figure most people will just click an email with an enticing link. They figure most people are willing to help. Most people want to ask questions. So it's looking at the human aspect and how do we break it? How do we go around it? How do we use the human element to circumvent or break into something that we shouldn't have access to? Or how do we use it to get information that otherwise should have been kept secret? Okay, so most people, when they receive a call from a bank or some other entity or institution, we typically don't ask a lot of questions. Okay, because our assumption is if these people are calling me, then they must be legit. They must know what they're doing. Most people easily get distracted. They don't pay attention to whatever it is they're doing. Some people even, if I may say, are too greedy, so they are easy to entice and easy to deceive. Okay, so the human aspect is really what social engineering uses against us, because we don't change, and when we do change, it's not quite often enough. Okay, and maybe it's a good reason not to change every day, or else we will never have any semblance or any normal life if you're always changing. But the idea is that most people do not change even when the change is necessary for them. So they are easy pickings for the bad guys. Okay, so let's go on to the next. And as you can see, as I said, sometimes talking about being easily distracted, magicians who use distraction to deceive you while you're looking at something else, they bring something else out. And to you, that's, wow, that's great. In the same manner where sometimes the bad actors will use all manner of schemes to trick you, because we are just people, and sometimes we fall for these stunts. Some examples of how social engineering works, and if you read some of the bullets in the previous slide, somebody calls you and says, I work for Bank A. We've noticed that there's been some fraud detection on your account. We've detected some fraud on your account. Can you validate, can you verify your information? Of course, hey, my bank is calling me. They must be doing a good job, calling me to notify me of this. But maybe you haven't even subscribed to that service, because I know the banks don't provide that for free, at least the banks that I deal with anyway. So if I don't have that service and they're calling me out of the blue, I have to be suspicious and say, why are they calling me? Okay, so you need to ask questions. Don't just assume or don't just make the assumption that because they're calling you, they must be from the bank. Bank phone numbers can be spoofed. Okay, phone numbers in general can be spoofed, so it might appear to come from a legitimate source, even though it has been spoofed or changed or made a copy of. Okay, so when you receive these unwanted or unexpected phone calls, the best thing to do is really to hang up. That'll be the right thing to do. Politely hang up. Second thing is, if you really believe your bank is calling you, then you want to not only hang up, but say you will call back. I'm busy, I will call back. And what you want to do then is go to the bank's website, look up their contact list, and call them back and say, I received a phone call, I'm just following up. Right? Okay, so you don't want to just give out information because you received a phone call that looks legitimate. The second thing is, if you got an email, before you click on those links and open up and any attachment, you want to be careful. I typically get a lot of Netflix, oh, your account has been suspended, or PayPal, Amazon, your account has been suspended. And typically these will come if you've ever subscribed to any of these services in the past, right? So you'll get something that's, oh, your account has been suspended, to make a payment, click here, click there. I've never seen Netflix emailing me to say your account has been suspended when I had that service. So anytime I see those emails, it's just funny. But a lot of people do not know this, right? So what you want to do is you want to delete that email, and if you feel that Netflix has emailed you, call them. Once again, just before you click anything, delete the email. Don't touch it. Or call them and say, I received an email. Is this from you? And, as I mentioned, social engineering is just different method and modes of people trying to get information from you. So in the series, we will look into some of these aspects, provide examples, and show you how to avoid them, or how to detect if emails are really from some of these organizations that you may have seen. Okay, so do not be quick to open attachments. Whether you're home or whether you're working in your organization, do not be quick to open up attachment and click on links embedded in those emails. These are some of the ways social engineering comes about. As I said, it's an umbrella. This term social engineering is just an umbrella that is comprised of many different tactics, right? So phishing is one of them. Phishing will be the email, the example that I explained to you, or the phone example that I provided. Baiting, you set a trap to catch something. So you set something enticing to get somebody to touch it or click it, and there you go. You've got them. Pretexting, spear phishing. Spear phishing is really targeting a group of people within a certain sphere or within certain organizations. Scareward, trying to scare people to act, to do something. Some people might even call COVID scareware, right? To get people to be in compliance to government wishes, but that's a different conversation for a different time. Tailgating, typically in a lot of places like workplaces, there are doors, and these doors require you to scan your badge to get in. Sometimes people who forget their badge, or people who are malicious actors, they wait for someone to scan a badge and then walk behind them. They tailgate. Vision is just a phone version of Vision is the phone version of the social engineering, where you get a phone call and somebody wants to get information, that solicit information from you, and sometimes unfortunately they get that information. But as we go on through the series, we will look into each of these individually to provide a better context and better highlight more for your informational needs. These are some recommendations and tips you can use. Anytime you receive an unexpected call, hang up. If you're going to call back, go to the company's website, get your phone number, call them directly. Don't call back on the same number that called you. Always ask for identity. Don't just provide information because you're being asked for it. Always ask the person to identify themselves, get information, get as much info on them as you provide to them. Okay, so instead of you giving them information, you ask for information. Okay, never give out your password or your PIN over the phone. That's very dangerous. Never pay attention to details, especially in emails. Pay attention to materials you're reading to ensure that they are correct and factual. And the number one thing here is key. Number one key here is education. You want to continuously learn about these things, learn about it, research it. They are always in the news. Recently, I read something in the news about taxi fraud and how these people are doing it. Okay, you always want to keep yourself up to date on what is going on. So read periodicals, articles, YouTube videos like this and other stuff. You want to read and keep yourself updated so that you can spot these phishing scams and schemes to help you stay aware and stay safe. So if you like the video, subscribe, like it. Until next time, we'll be back. Join us at facynetworks.ca, faci.ca, and we can talk more. Take care. Bye-bye.